Sad we're on the air. There you go.
It's so sad but true.
All right.
Oh, God. The easiest job on the planet now. Joe Biden's grooming team. You talk about stealing.
You're not even getting them ready anymore. That's just sad.
I mean, don't you know?
That's just sad.
Oh, gosh. They're talking about the View TV show. They're putting the makeup on him. They talk to the hair person.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Joe, how'd you do last night? Yeah, it's a good movie there. Megalopolis, what do you think about Coppola's new thing, you know?
Oh, man.
Joe, am I right? Yeah. Get up.
You're fine. You look fine. No one cares. All right, we're ready to rock and roll. Am I wearing the same shirt since last time?
No, that one has the mustard stain there.
No,
so
I got
different.
two. I have like three of these. I got them.
You look good in purple.
$9.99.
Okay.
I got them for $9.99 at Men's Warehouse.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta go there.
So I have three. So don't think I don't shower.
I have like probably half a
that's a
dozen.
nice shirt.
Yeah.
Fits those guns well.
It does. Well, you get a schmall.
And you could go out
Medium.
and play
You
some.
go to Babies R Us? Where'd you go?
Yeah, of course. You gotta.
Wait,
Yeah,
is that
actually,
is that an announcement?
You do a good.
No.
Okay, all right. Okay, we're gonna go live on Mr. Radio, and stand by.
Mr. Radio. Oh, the dock workers.
Look at them. Look at them. They're having a good time.
This hour of the Alan Autry Show is sponsored by Sinlong, the most realistic artificial grass in the Central Valley.
From NFL quarterback to Hollywood to the mayor's office, and now behind the mic at KXEX, this is the Alan Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody. That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable. Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty!
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
Hey, y'all out there. Welcome to Alan Autry. No retreat, no repeat, no retweet. The real deal, live here on a wacky, wild, wonderful Wednesday with Guillermo Moreno. And you just heard Phillip Villanueva. Yeah, I'm trying to. Did I say that right now? Villanueva.
Villanueva, American way.
Villanueva.
You can see that better accent than me, Gabriel. You can say it.
Villanueva.
There you go. There it is. See, he says my name better than myself.
Villanueva.
Did you say Veganueva?
Villanueva. How about just Big Phil?
I grew up, he was at Valenzuela.
Valenzuela.
Yeah, there's no Z, no S, nothing.
Well, you know him as the best guy around here, great guy, Phil. I'll just call you Phil. I'm going to work on that, though.
All right.
I'm big on pronouncing it, but I'm an Okie, man. Okies are bad at pronouncing names outside of, Joe Bob and Billy Wayne.
And you did
movies. I mean, they got to be one syllable. You get more than one syllable, we have trouble from the South.
I saw movies with you speaking Spanish. That character did perfect Spanish.
See?
Oh, that's a dub.
See? ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué pig?
¿Por qué de pig?
And but that movie has over how many?
¿Dónde está biblioteca?
You did do a Spanish Western.
See, yeah.
Yeah.
See. Ándale!
Arriba.
Yes.
Oh, my
Oh,
gosh.
that's Speedy Gonzalez. Remember that?
Speedy, he got canceled. Speedy got canceled. You can't talk about Speedy. You get
Not
canceled.
Bunny stuff.
I didn't bring that man. A man of Hispanic heritage brought that up. I didn't bring up Speedy Gonzalez. But now that we're talking about it, what'd they do to Foghorn Leghorn? Okies didn't, he didn't get canceled.
I have no idea who that
He
is.
should get, oh, man, I'll say he was a chicken.
Speaking of Bugs Bunny.
I'll say that's a joke, son.
Yeah, his name was what?
Foghorn Leghorn.
No way.
Yeah, that's what I did on The Heat of the Night. That was my Bubba character. I based the voice on there. I'll get right on it, Chief. I'll say that's a joke, son.
You got Bugs Bunny on the
I
screen.
was doing Foghorn Leghorn. all those years,
I
nobody.
said. That's what they do. I said.
That's Elmer Fudd there. Oh, it looks like Tim Waltz down there. On the right.
There it is.
It looks like Tim Waltz. And it looks like it does, doesn't it? Look at those over there.
For those of you on radio, we
all
have
right, let's
Elmer Fudd and Bugs Bunny on the screen.
Come on now, we're living in serious times, man. The world's about ready to blow up, and we're talking about Elmer Fudd. Okay, but you got to have some fun. All right. First of all, let me give you guys a little heads up here because I promised you that I would. Not that you're interested, but some of you are. My guest series on 911 Lone Star started 2 weeks ago, 2 Mondays ago. I was in the pilot. I mean, not the pilot, the first show of the last season, 5th season, last season. They're not going to renew it. I'm my character, Adam Bridges, the captain of the Texas Rangers, is introduced in that first one. So you can go online streaming, pull it up. Then I'm not into the episodes until the last 3. And then I'm really heavy in the storyline there. No spoiler alert, but something interesting happens. I guarantee you that.
That's awesome.
So that's the catch up on that. So let's catch up on the debate, Mr. Moreno. I said that J.D. Vance would probably dominate. I think I even said wipe the floor with them and that sort of thing because it would probably be a no contest. I got my thoughts on that. What say you?
Oh gosh, yeah, it was refreshing. It was refreshing to see. Listen, everyone knows I support Donald Trump, but I'm a realist, and I know that the MAGA movement and Trump, if he's reelected, he's got 4 years. We really have to start looking to the future. So last night it was a great glimpse into the movement beyond Trump, and J.D. Vance is a millennial. I'm a millennial. It was very refreshing to see that my generation has some really good staunch conservatives. We're not going to be the greatest generation, I'll tell you that.
But how do you think the debate went?
Well, I think first of all, the debate. It wasn't a debate. It was a 3-on-1. I mean, it was a 3-on-1. But I mean, the 3-on-1 was. I mean, you were fighting Mayweather. Yeah, let's just be real. J.D. Vance. And this is why he's done so many interviews against individuals that absolutely loathe him. It got him ready. It was poised, but it was really refreshing to see J.D. Vance. And everyone says this, I'm a compassionate conservative. But J.D. Vance last night came across as a very compassionate conservative. And I know a lot of people, and I think Dan Bongino said this. He goes, you guys wanted him to be aggressive. Trump is the aggressor here. What he had to do is he had to go out there. He had to go out and speak to 0.5% of the electorate that doesn't have their minds made up. J.D. Vance not only defeated the 3, he toasted and roasted Walz, and then he effectively reached out to all those independents who were like, you know what? I like the guy. Walz looks a little buffoonery, but, J.D. Vance did a great job. I think a lot of people sat there last night saying, you know what? Like, this kid's all right.
It was mentioned, and I think it's accurately, that, he did a kind of a rehab, a redefining of himself, because the media has defined him as just this out of control, heartless, individual that is just a
woman hating, cat hating,
just a weird, mean individual. And, he went from, I guess he was, I don't know how they figured this, but negative 22% in terms of likability, which I don't believe. But
wait, how negative 22?
Yeah, I don't. That means
nobody likes you.
I don't understand.
Not even his wife.
Not even dead.
Or his mother.
Not even dead people like you. I don't know how you get into negative 22, but it came up to negative 2. So he had a 20-point. This is what CNN.
You're kidding, right?
I am not kidding. That's what CNN said.
How do you get into negative 22?
Ask Dana Bash. Ask Jake Tapper.
Of course, they would have.
They were on their metrics came up with negative likability. Like, I not only hate you, I double hate you.
Negative 22.
I triple hate you. You're horrible. Anyway,
CNN, by the way,
even they conceded that Vance, won. I think it started off with Vance dominating. I was kind of surprised that CBS hit Walz with the question about him basically not telling the truth about when he was in China during the Tiananmen Square.
Wasn't that great?
His response. Like, you talk about deer in the headlights. I mean, he was not expecting that at all.
I was just a knucklehead.
Yeah, but he tried to sidestep it, and to the moderator's credit, probably the only thing I can say that, that was what they should have done. They didn't let him get off the hook. They went back and asked him again. And then he basically said, I just said what I said, and that's it, and misspoke. But, here's the thing. Let me read something like this. But this is, again, from his allies at hold on one second here. I'm going to pull up an article.
Well,
he says here, okay, you messed up a date. Tiananmen Square was June 4th, 1989. He said he was there at Tiananmen Square. When the records say he was there in May, that he wasn't there when it happened. But here's the thing, okay, it's one thing to say you misspoke and that it didn't happen, but when you go into detail, he says this is his quote, 20 years ago today, he was doing some interview. I was in Hong Kong preparing to go, wait, let me go back a little bit further. He says, and again, this was CNN. He says, Waltz further claimed in a June 2019 radio interview that he was in Hong Kong on June 4th, 1989. And here's his quote. I was in Hong Kong on June 4th, 1989, when, of course, Tiananmen Square happened. And I was in China after that. It was very strange because, of course, all outside transmissions were blocked. Voice of America, and, of course, there was no phones or email or anything, so I was kind of out of touch. It took me a month to know that the Berlin Wall had fallen down. Okay, this guy's going into detail about the lie.
There's no calendar.
Then he goes 20.
No one was keeping time in China during that time.
He goes 20 years ago today. I was in Hong Kong preparing to go to Foshan to teach at Foshan Middle School. I guess that's in China. To watch what happened at the end of the day on June 4th was something that many of us will never forget. We pledged to never forget, bearing witness and accurate telling of history. I mean, it's one thing to, tell an untruth and a lie, but to go into detail about this thing, about being at Tiananmen Square, didn't that send up a little red flag? It would to me. I'm going to say it they all lie. All the politicians lie. But when you take something like this, when so many people lost their lives, and you're hanging your hat on it, and you go into detail about this, something that didn't happen, you weren't there at Tiananmen Square. You weren't in China during Tiananmen Square, and you tell people, just like the stuff about carrying the gun into war, and it's a pattern that's kind of bothersome. But I guess, there's no psychological theory that if you tell the same lie enough over and over again, you start to believe it yourself.
Well, Alan, as a middle-class kid, growing up in a middle-class neighborhood on a middle-class street with middle-class neighbors in the middle-class world, the world was pretty middle. And
but first-class looks.
In the middle of the road, and everyone took care of their lawns. So
yeah, he had a couple of moments like that. I thought he was going to Biden out, didn't you?
I mean, it was
a couple of moments. Did you say a couple of moments? I don't want to pick on him because I think the first. All right, here's my notes. First 40 minutes, JD Vance
That's that joy.
kicked butt.
Yeah, that joy economy.
Oh gosh, yes, it's everybody. Yeah, gas $5 a gallon. When can it go up to 10? Yeah. We'll have double the joy.
You're not going to be able to buy a car. You're not going to be able to buy a car. You're not going to be able to buy a car.
Who needs to eat? Just call Patriot Mills. It lasts 25 years.
Oh, my God.
Okay, but so your analysis is that J.D. Vance
clearly
won the debate.
People are getting on J.D. Vance because of his, and CNN was all, because this was the only bad moment that he had. I don't even think it's a bad moment. They wanted to get on him on J6. January 6th, and certifying the election and election denying. When CNN and the moderators had to get J.D. Vance on January 6th, it just showed you what an epic. CBS. What an epic failure they were in trying to pin him down to something. He outwitted them and outsmarted them on abortion. He beat Tim Walz on abortion. He outwitted them and outsmarted them on the immigration cat thingy. I mean, when they're arguing about
the cat thing, never came up.
And I bet you today they're probably like, "Damn it, we probably should have mentioned the cat thing." But yeah, no, I think it was a masterclass. And then again, I mean, Walz we knew he was. The Harris campaign even set expectations really low. I mean, we knew he was just gonna just stumble.
Did the moderators kind of remind you of a Saturday Night Live skit?
Yeah, they did.
They do those? Yes. And now we go to JD about his opinion on the cat eating. What do you think, Nora?
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
Yes, I mean, I'm looking at that going, This is like such a throwback. It was like 1975 Saturday Night Live.
It was so bad. It was
Chevy Chase and Dennis Miller and in the news. No. Who was it? It was Jane Curtin and Dan Aykroyd. Remember that?
No,
when he
but I know who Dan
Dan
Aykroyd is.
When he said that famous word, Jane, you ignorant. But that's what it kind of reminded me of there.
It was so.
Dan Aykroyd, wow.
I know, it's going way
That's
back.
a Ghostbuster. That's all I remember.
Hey, that movie's out, by the way.
Which one?
Saturday. It's called Saturday Night. It's how Saturday Night Live got started.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I saw the trailer the
Yeah.
other day. I can't wait. For old guys like me, that was so part of our culture. That was my last year in college when it came out. No, Adam Sandler was way later.
That's absolutely.
This was John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
All those guys.
Coneheads, right?
The Coneheads. The land sharks. Yes, it was.
Movies were so better back in the day. Now I'm just sitting here.
Well, that's before. Don't get me started.
Would you like me to play a clip of one of the debate?
Oh gosh, yes. Why not? But I'm going on. I say before we do this, one quick thing, and then let's go to the clips. Do you think it moved the needle at all on the election?
No, it didn't move the needle, but I'll tell you what it did do. It didn't move the needle, but the Harris campaign, I think, has started to sputter. They don't have the same momentum as they did in the RNC. And when you just remember when they rolled Kamala Harris out, she was the female Barack Obama. I mean, she was, just a trendsetter. I remember the Barack Obama campaign. I remember going to one of the rallies at Michigan State. I mean, the amount of energy that he was able to carry all the way into Election Day. You look at Kamala Harris, they're unable to do that. I mean, Kamala Harris in these last 34 days is in big trouble, and Walz didn't help her out at all last night.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you know what I think, Guillermo, as well, and Phil? I think last night made Trump supporters feel, what's the word, more comfortable with the ticket. I think seeing Vance, you know what I'm saying, Phil? Seeing Vance perform like this, you're saying, you know what? That's the voice that's going to be in the ear. I love Trump, but he can be a little impetuous, a little, even though I dealt with Trump behind the scenes, he's very methodical. He asks a lot of questions. He's not this quick-tempered guy. He's just not. You don't build an empire like that in New York.
You're saying he's quick-tempered?
No. When he's out making deals, he's completely different than a Trump.
Really? Is he
the
nicer?
Trump you see now has gotten his patterned himself after Vince McMahon, the WWE guy. He loves Vince. No, he does. He loves Vince McMahon.
Who doesn't love Vince McMahon?
I was thinking of Ed McMahon. That's the sweepstakes guy.
But I think with his performance last night, I think he invigorated the Trump supporters and said, "Wow, I feel like making that other call to get somebody on, because it's all going to be about turnout. It's all going to be about turnout." And I think subtly, but yet substantively, I think it really helped the Trump campaign, Vance's performance last night. Even saying, I agree with Tim here, and seeing the wives come up and seeing this civility. See, there was a throwback thing last night. It really was. It was throwback to the type of debates I grew up watching.
That's so
clear,
true.
distinct differences, but there was lines that weren't crossed. It didn't get personal. It was good, hard, and it's sometimes heated debate. Voila, what this country was based upon. Good, hard, and sometimes heated debate. And I think you're seeing the public respond. Interesting. So you get this, what everybody says should happen, good, hard, civil debate. And you get Amy Klobuchar.
Oh, she was livid.
She was livid.
So pissed off.
And Jay Tapper and Dana Basher said, well, J.D. Vance and Waltz, they were civil. They talked about the issues. They really debated, but there was a civility. And you could see her go, well, there's nothing civil about not a mother bleeding to death, in her car because she can't get an abortion. There's nothing civil about that.
She lost it.
You saw right then, the left doesn't want civility any more than your hard right people. They're just the same. It's just, different side of the same coin. Klobuchar was apoplectic.
Yeah.
That you had a civil debate about substantive issues, and they didn't call each other names.
Well, you know what really set her off? What really set her off was, how CNN does their undecided, Joe Schmo voter?
Yeah.
So they asked Sally Mae, Hey, Sally Mae from Michigan.
Sally Mae, she's Trump.
Sally Mae, undecided from it. What did you think? And she's like, the moment was abortion, and listening to J.D. Vance really spoke to me, and how the GOP is really all right. Thank you. Listen, we have to get to, and then.
How about the 7-person focus group?
Oh, did you see that one?
Oh man, it looks like the ones that didn't make it on the Price is Right live audience.
It's so bad.
That they got cut from the Price is Right to be in the audience. They're sitting there. I don't usually troll, but it was like sitting there going in the monitor.
No, and then
Sucking on lemons, sir.
Well, I mean, think about it. If you're 7 undecided voters now. If you're undecided voters, here's the look you'll probably have on your face. I'm undecided.
My favorite Martian.
And that's what they all had. They were sitting there.
No,
undecided. You're undecided, man. About both those parties, I'd go in and buy some Krispy Kreme donuts and buy their vote right there, man. Oh, here it is. Sign here. Early balloting's already started. Sign here for a free Krispy. They'd go, hey.
It was so bad that CNN was like, all right, now we're going to turn to our undecided voters. Tom, can you speak to our first undecided voter? And then Mr. John Smith, hi, I'm undecided. You know what really spoke to me tonight was January 6th and how bad J.D. Vance is. And, I mean, his answer on January 6th is all I needed to know.
Prior to that, I was really leaning Trump.
And then they go back to Jake Tapper, and then he goes, we got to find the clip. Just want to reiterate, they were really undecided. And I mean, they even had to do like a laugh. And then like 5 minutes later, they came back and they're like, listen, we just got texted from a Republican congressman saying that the really undecided focus group. I mean, we just want to tell the audience they really are undecided.
How did they find them? Did they drive around the car and see somebody walking? Hey, dude, are you undecided? Come on, hop in.
You with the Harris Walls bumper sticker. Yeah. It was just
threat to democracy here.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Joy over here.
Yeah. Let's go to a clip.
Oh,
goodness gracious me. Those
when they were talking, at one point, Vance wanted to.
Hold on.
We have a Chris Cuomo sighting.
There we go. Okay, because we got to let the radio people know because they don't have the.
Go ahead.
They're not looking at our beautiful mugs.
Go ahead.
So here you got Chris Cuomo, former CNN stud.
Before he decided to do something like back up his brother.
Yeah, back up his other stud of a brother. He's now on News Nation. Is that what he's on now?
News Nation.
Is that like a?
He's now a dud. I mean, he's.
We're not making anyhow.
So making fun of.
He's got his own show.
I love News Nation.
It's the Kmart of news. But you find some good deals at Kmart.
I thought it closed down. They closed down.
The last one. They closed their last Kmart. I didn't even know.
Great memories there. I loved it.
I didn't even know.
It's the dollar store news station.
All right. Well,
there's a lot of good things at the dollar store.
Dollar General Nation here.
$5 now.
Go ahead.
It's all right.
All right. Get it.
T, set it up. Cute. Go.
Chris Cuomo. Go.
Oh.
Frodo.
That's me.
When they were talking, at one point, Vance wanted to correct something about how Haitians got into this country. And he was right, and the moderators wouldn't let him correct it. It's very interesting.
Margaret, but thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important because
we're to turn out of the economy.
Saturday Night Live moderators, man. Look at them.
A fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on.
Thank you, Senator.
Facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by
Thank you, Senator, for
leaders.
describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those laws have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
So what?
Has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you.
Yeah, we can.
Are cut.
Oh my gosh.
Well, there you have it.
Well,
and look, Vance was right.
Alan, we have so much to get to.
There's nuance to it, but the bigger problem is why he was moved on. We've got so much to get to. This says who? You know what I mean? Like, what is the schedule here? So you have a list of topics? That's not what it's about. It's about how the American people can access these two men and the two theories and the narratives, and you've got to let them have their speak, because now you created a story where you're the problem.
Yeah. I got to agree with you. I think Chris
Cuomo
has been unshackled. He's been unleashed, uncensored getting away from CNN. I mean, he's still on the left. He's still a Democrat. But you see some of how he talks, some of his decisions, him and his brother. And I'm talking about the bad stuff, and there's plenty of that to talk about, I guess. I don't know. I don't judge somebody until I know all the facts. But I think it's one of the best things that ever happened to him is get away from
I think so.
CNN. I mean, if you really care to express yourself, and you do some soul searching and go, I don't have limited time on this planet. I want to be honest with myself, intellectually honest, spiritually honest to what I believe. And he's always been one of these guys, till the corporate heads told him to cut it out, that would see both sides of the
I think he'd be a great moderator.
More liberal.
Yeah.
He's still liberal, but
I think he'd be a great moderator.
That's a heck of an idea.
I think he hates both of them equally.
Well, what do you think about this? And we'll get to the next clip. Because, first of all, I 100% people that saw that. Vance was trying to say that these folks that are here legally, they're not like they went through a processing where they sat down with a government official, answered some questions, filled out some forms in front of someone who was vetting them. You can go to the website yourself and you can lie, say anything on this application, and it will print out or what have you. And then they say you're legally here. It's not really a true vetting process. You can stretch it and say they're here legally because they filled it out, but that's a
Thank
big
you, Alan,
gaping.
for giving us the law. Well, we need to move on. Thank you, Alan.
Yes. Well, let me finish here. You brought it up, so let me finish.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to the next clip here.
Honestly, Tim, I think you got a tough job here because you've got to play whack-a-mole. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver rising take-home pay, which of course he did. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver lower inflation, which of course he did. And then you simultaneously got to defend Kamala Harris's atrocious economic record, which has made gas, groceries, and housing unaffordable for American citizens. I was raised by a woman who would sometimes go...
First of all, Walls, when you for the others on radio, Walls is looking at him like, damn it, he's good. I mean, he's looking at him like,
no, he's like saying, what am I going to do with that?
Yeah.
What am I going to do with that? I got to get to Tiananmen Square somewhere. How am I going to transition this, man? I'm going to transition this to being a hunting pheasants.
Oh, man.
I mean, look at that freeze frame right there right now.
Alan,
that should be on an ad for J.D. Vance and Waltz. But, in his favor, he could have got nastier too, Waltz, last night. He didn't. And he's taking some crap from on the left for not being more aggressive. He was pretty aggressive.
He wasn't ready for the moment. He's just not a good pick. Let's just be real.
But, sometimes God, builds straight paths with crooked nails. And I think the people seeing this last night brought hope to the whole political process, that you can debate hard, get heated, have moments where you have to be reeled in, not get personal.
Yeah.
They didn't call any names. Yeah. Nobody was called Hitler. Nobody was called Mussolini, on the thing there. So let's just do another, or is this clip, do we have any comments on that?
Gas, groceries, and housing unaffordable for American citizens. I was raised by a woman who would sometimes go into medical debt so that she could put food on the table in our household. I know what it's like to not be able to afford the things that you need to afford. We can do so much better. To all of you watching, we can get back to an America that's affordable again. We just got to get back to common sense economic principles. Look, I think what Tim said just doesn't pass the smell test. For 3 years, Kamala Harris went out bragging that she was going to undo Donald Trump's border policy. She did exactly that. We had a record number of illegal crossings. We had a record number of fentanyl coming into our country. And now that she's running for president, or a few months before, she says that somehow she got religion and cared a lot about a piece of legislation. The only thing that she did when she became the vice president, when she became the appointed border czar, was to undo 94 Donald Trump executive actions that opened the border. This problem is leading to massive problems in the United States of America. Parents who can't afford health care, schools that are overwhelmed. It's got to stop, and it will when Donald Trump is president.
Okay, what very well said, very articulate, and very, he just did a great job. But I do think that at about the 40-minute mark, this is my own analysis, I think Waltz picked up some steam because they went into his wheelhouse subjects, in particular abortion. And I think he did a really good job of talking to people, getting through to people viscerally inside their, touching people's hearts on this issue, wherever you stand on abortion, whether you think abortion should be restricted, not restricted, whether you think it should be at 5, 6 weeks, 6 weeks, or you think it's taken an innocent life from conception. You have to give Waltz credit for telling that story about the young lady who bled to death. That did happen. There's no running from that, and that is a sad, tragic story. Does it change my opinion on abortion, that it should be with the states? No, because it's the best fit for a very touchy and difficult subject. Because, I go to rape and incest. I'm clear about abortion as a form of self-control, birth control. When you use it like that, I'm totally against it. Totally against that. Rape and incest, when I go down my knees and ask for direction, I don't get a clear answer. Maybe I will before I pass on. But these are things we have to be sensitive to if you are pro-life, to stories like this. And I think Tim Waltz did a really good job of carrying what they think is holy water. Well, yeah. They believe in a woman's right. That's what they believe. Yeah. That a woman's right trumps everything, regardless of how that baby, how old that baby is, how long it's been in the womb, whether it's a week or 8 months. Now, he said he doesn't agree with that, but the Minnesota law clearly says that the mother has the choice at any time to terminate that baby, even after it's born, if it was not one, if it's a botched abortion. That's on the law. You can go look it up. And so... Yeah, but, I wouldn't give them too much credit. The Democrats really have the upper hand on this abortion because they can play to emotion, right? I think J.D. Vance did a really good job by saying, you know what, I agree. If she was in Minnesota, she'd probably be alive. And I think J.D. Vance did something that was really good in basically saying, hey, GOP, we have to, if we're going to say these young women, we want you to keep your child, we got to be able to be better and say, you know what, this is how we're going to support you. This is how we're going to support, maybe adoption, maybe something else. Shoot, if a young girl goes through the pregnancy and has a child, I mean, give them a housing stipend or a food stipend or something. And I think that's what J.D. Vance, he couldn't come out and say it, but he was pretty much saying, look, GOP, we got to do better. We can't just say, listen, pro-life, pro-life, pro-life. You're stuck with the child now. I think, and I think that's what spoke to that one lady, that undecided voter on CNN, like, well, wait a minute, conservatives aren't, bad people when it comes to abortion. And I think Trump also, when he was debating Kamala on this, and Kamala just owned him on this abortion topic, Trump wasn't wrong or evil. He couldn't play the emotional game as well. Alan, you've heard of babies who were, attempted abortions or induced, and you hear stories about how these people, now they're alive, all these complications, and basically said, I was supposed to be dead. I think Condoleezza Rice. I didn't know that. I believe so. I think she was a survivor of rape. I may be wrong on that, folks. But it was something that wasn't of the quote unquote normal variety of birth. It was if we're gonna play this, dropping these cases in here, Trump and Vance should know of a case or two of a young woman who wanted an abortion. I mean, come on, those stories are out there too. Don't let the Democrats frame this entire thing, and I think we're too afraid to do anything about it when we're protecting life.
I have a clip here from CNN immediately after the debate, and it talks about the very topic you're talking about abortion, and it's very surprising, you might think, coming from CNN.
Surprise me.
Clear Vance outclassed Walz tonight. I mean, I was watching this, and all I could think of was, man, Walz is so in over his head. I mean, can you imagine this guy sitting in the White House Situation Room with that facial expression that's like 50% sheer terror and 50% extreme bafflement? I mean, it was amazing, the split screen difference between a competent Vance and a totally in over his head Walz.
It's actually the wrong way. I had to win an abortion.
On why?
Hold on, I like
about his
one.
trips to China and the Tiananmen Square thing was probably the worst VP debate meltdown since Stockdale in '92. It's pretty clear. Who am I and why am I here? It was 2.5 minutes of absolute terrible. For Vance, night of redemption. All the political media has told us that Vance was a terrible pick and Walz was going to bring in all these voters. That charade is now over. Walz does not belong at this level of American politics. Vance does. Final verdict, Tim Walz wandered into the wrong bar tonight.
I mean, it's
well said.
It's so true. I mean, could you imagine though? You talk about the vice president being the last person in the room before the president makes a really big decision.
What does that even mean?
But I mean, you have in there. Imagine with Harrison and Walz, it'd be like, Curly's the last one in the room when Mo leaves to make a decision. I mean, would you rather have that person, that J.D. Vance, in the ear of whether it's Donald Trump or Kamala Harris? If you're going to be the last person in the room as the advisor, you got to have some juice. You've got to have some poise. You got to have some panache. You've got to have some, sometimes it's just a misfit. I mean, I don't think probably J.D. Vance could be a good linebacker coach. Walz probably does.
Am I missing? I must be. Alan, help me out. What is the most? Why does everyone want to be the last person in the room? I've heard a lot of dumb things.
No, it means
it's like I'm always the last person in the room. Like,
well, no, let me tell you what it means.
Did you forget your keys?
No, let me tell you what that means governmentally, because I get that. You have all these advisors. When I was at City Hall, I had all the department heads. We were making a decision, putting together a budget. Everybody's giving their opinions, this and that. And Georgianne White was my chief of staff, and she was absorbing them stuff, and I'm out doing personal appearances and stuff and trying to get support for our policies and that sort of thing. And then when you're in that room, and then the meeting breaks up, she stays there, and you say, well, what do you think? And that person gives their analysis of what was said and gives you their opinion based on what they've heard. So the person closest to you, to me at City Hall, was Georgianne and Roger Montero when he was deputy mayor. And for most presidents, it's their vice president that's in the room in the big meetings. Like for right now, what do we do if Israel decides to go ahead and bomb Iran's nuclear sites? You're going to have all of advisors in there, Biden and Kamala Harris, and we see it's obvious she's been the last one in the room. Look at the policies. Look where the country's at. It's just like California. She took those California values when she was a DA and a senator, and she brought those liberal values, and she was the last one in Joe's ear. So no, Joe, don't print $4 trillion when you can print $6 trillion.
I get where you're coming from.
So that's what they're saying is the last person in the room is your advisor. That's part of the even though they're part of the elected ticket, they are what some call the deep state, unelected. They weren't directly elected. The president was elected and brought you along.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little bit more than vice presidency is being portrayed in the media like it's like some, one of those balloons at the Macy's Thanksgiving parade floating around. It's just nothing to it.
For me, when
there's more to it than that.
For me, when I look at the last person in the room, I mean, when Trump's in the room, it don't matter who the last person in the room is. You know what I mean? He's got that type of like, okay, what do you want? All right, this is what we're doing. Like, everyone leave the room. This is it. Just, I guess it's kind of a different kind of mindset.
I disagree. Trump takes a lot of.
He does take a lot of it. Yeah. True.
He's got a lot of people that he gets information from. He's not this guy that goes in and just makes these snap decisions. And I wish we would see more of that in him in public. Let me ask you this: if Trump had 50% of the debating skills that J.D. Vance has, would this election even be close right now?
Oh, gosh, no.
I don't think it would.
It would not.
Well, it'd be close. Yeah. But I think in these battleground states, he'd be up a couple of points.
Yeah.
In Pennsylvania, I mean, he is who he is, and I think the yin and yang, and Phil and I kind of agree on this. I think his performance was substantive in this point. There may be others, but I think significantly they feel more comfortable, Trump supporters, with J.D. Vance on that ticket. I think you're not going to – he effectively buried the cat eating issue last night, I think.
Yeah, it's true. No one's talking about it.
He put a firewall between that and the caddy and the cat lady. Bunch of cat ladies running the country. Now it'll still pop up, but I think people who saw that.
I know. Do you think they reached out that demo suburban moms, or they're really trying?
I don't know if it can flip them right now, but I think there's some folks, especially suburban women, that really want to vote for Trump, but didn't last time and are thinking they're not going to do it this time. They are not enamored with Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
They're not in love with Kamala Harris. I think many of them are leaning there in the thousands because they really don't trust the team totally. You know, Trump is better than he was last time in terms of communicating to the suburban women. But I think there's enough teetering there, and I think with everything happening in the world, especially if Israel decides, because you guarantee you, they're going to do something. Their big response is going to come before the election, November 6th. Now, there'll be a lot of early voting that happens before that. So how much is that going to impact people that go to the polls? But I think people are going to step back and go, you know what? That was kind of some assurance I needed. He's close to Trump. He's going to be in Trump's ear. I think because
I don't know. And
I don't know what that degree, but I think there's some of that at play out there.
And Walls, you got the men, right? You got all men.
The purpose of the vice president, what is the purpose of the vice president? John Adams, our very first vice president, said this has got to be the most worthless job ever conceived by man. No. It's important, however, when you look at Trump and the character that he is, I read Mike Pence's book, and he discusses the type of vice president he was for Trump. Now, say what you want about Mike Pence. Obviously, the last couple of days kind of really just messed him up. But, he talked about waking up early and reading everything that Donald Trump got and reading every single newspaper that was delivered to Donald Trump because he wanted to be there for Donald Trump, and he wanted to read the same things, and he wanted to be a springboard. And he writes that if he ever disagreed with Trump, he brought it up, but he brought it up privately. And Mike Pence says the job of the vice president is to support the president and to give him your honest opinion. Now, when it comes to Vance, I'm not sure he's going to be as effective as a Mike Pence, but I think he's well on his way.
I think I agree. But here's what I think the things you're not thinking about.
Yeah.
That if they really look at this situation, especially old people like me, to go and vote, they're thinking this horrible, unthinkable reality. We remember vividly, people my age, a little bit younger, a little bit older, remember our beloved president getting shot in the head and killed in November 1963.
Wow.
Okay? That President John Kennedy was about to get us out of Vietnam. Okay? He was killed. A fellow named Lyndon Johnson took over and escalated the Vietnam conflict to where over 60,000 American soldiers were killed. And it took 12 years to get out of Vietnam because the vice president made a decision to escalate rather than get out when he should have gotten out. When you have 2 assassination attempts on Donald Trump, and don't think that Harris, especially with Biden sitting back right now, basically saying, go Israel, and Kamala Harris saying, go Israel, she's going to be a target for assassination as well. That's just fact. I know I don't like to hear that, Alan. That's depressing. I know. I get it. But we have to live in reality. This vice presidential choice could wind up being president. Oh, gosh. Hey, I wish this wasn't the case. But I think we need to take this pick very, very seriously. Very seriously. I guarantee you they're taking it serious. They have a succession plan in Israel, and I guarantee you there are competent people in the equivalent vice presidential position if Benjamin Netanyahu gets taken out, which could happen. I guarantee you those folks look at it different. You don't have somebody that's a beginner that has no experience there at the number 2 to take over. And that's why you have these 2 people. I think it was shown that if I had to feel more comfortable with who could be president, if our president, God forbid something happens to him or her, would hands down be J.D. Vance over Tim Walz. And that I would encourage folks to think about it in those terms. Not because, and I'm a registered independent. I've told you this more than once. I lean conservative. I'm a conservative guy. If you had to give me a litmus test, I would probably, but also have some beliefs that people on the further right would kick me out of the club. Same with Guillermo.
Oh yeah,
same with
sure.
Phil.
Without a doubt.
And we're okay with that, But I think here we have to take emotion out of it. We have to look at what's happening in the world. The world is, I know it's said over and over again, but it doesn't make it less true. The world is on fire right now, everywhere. And Guillermo, I like your opinion on this. As we're kind of switching a little bit, it's all tied together, this election and what's happening over there. Because we just have a few minutes, but this escalating war in the Middle East and Ukraine. If I was advising either President Harris or President Trump, I'd say, look, I would tell Western Europe, and we can't fund two wars. There's just some existential threats to two countries. You've got to take care of the Ukraine situation in Western Europe. We'll handle the Middle East. We're going to we cannot send the amount of resources needed to protect Israel and protect the Ukraine by ourselves. Western Europe has to step up and step up big and fund this war and give Zelensky what he needs. We can give some, but our future is more tied to that Middle East in terms of what we can do in our influence. You don't see the Western Europe rushing to back up Israel. Yeah, we're pretty much all they have.
Western Europe.
You're right. You right?
Yeah.
Where's the
Without
other?
a doubt. Yeah.
Where's the other comments outside of Joe Biden? Where's Macron? Where's the leader of Italy? Where's this guy Steimer in England? Yeah. Where are they about this? You don't hear it at all.
Yeah, Western Europe.
And these are, and I'll let you finish, get a final word on this. This is why the vice presidential pick is so important. It's not a placeholder. It could be a critical component to not only the future of this country, the future of the world.
Yeah, no. Western Europe can barely take care of themselves, let alone they're
going to have to learn.
Yeah, so
in a hurry.
What I think Donald Trump brings to the foreign stage is simple, and I've said this many times. I said it about Obama. Biden has the same thing. Liberal presidents do not somehow want to acknowledge our American position around the world. They go around apologizing for it. They go around not wanting to use it.
But they love wars.
Well,
they love wars.
They do. But
I don't mean all liberals. I'm talking about the elite that have stock in the defense companies, the defense contractors that are making a doo-doo load full of money. The Republicans and Democrats are in the pockets of many of those.
Something that I really appreciate about President Trump is when he's president, he goes around the world. And as soon as he steps off of Air Force One, everybody knows the U.S. is here. They're not messing around. And Donald Trump knows the impact of America on the world stage. Liberal presidents forget it when they're president. And of course, war happens and it's advantageous to themselves. So I can't wait to get a president in there and then, maybe a vice president one day who truly acknowledges our unique position and our ability to really shape the world and not run from it. We are great. We're the best damn country in the world. And I'm not afraid to say it. Western Europe.
You got to lead. You got to lead, and America hasn't done that for quite some time, since the Trump years. Folks, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for logging in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for viewing. Appreciate you so much. Just do your best and let God do the rest. That's the best advice I could give myself and to y'all out there who I love so much. Guillermo, thank you.
Amen.
Phil, thank you. Love y'all, and see you soon.
America.
Bye-bye.